think it was I think it really sat into me when I left the military and I transitioned over to just the federal government as a civil service. And I was talking to this guy. I was like, "Oh, how did you end up, in the IT field?" He was like, "I just knew how to fix a printer." It's like, yeah, my background is like I was a history major, and I was just like, what? But you're managing like high level SMEs, like, you know what I mean? You're running communication teams, like, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, it's not, and that's when so I said to him, he's like, leadership is something that's transferable. He was like, I don't have to per se know how to fix all the equipment. I don't have to know what our new plan going for. He said, that's why I lean on you guys. I lean on you. It's like I lean on my talent. And I was just like, serious? And he was just like, yeah, but you're like doubling my salary right now. You can't tell me a routing protocol. So like when I learned that, I was just like, man, what? This is crazy. And it used to bother me because I would wonder why, like, when you get these tasks and these projects, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go this route, and it's because I used to feel like because no one did have a background, a strong background growing up, and like, or like, growing up, as your help desk, going into engineer roles. I didn't think people had a strong background. It used to bother me when I'm following these people. I'm like, oh, this don't make no sense. We should not be doing this. And just to find out they didn't. But right. they had to see the table. They were making the decisions. Right. So I was like, well, I got to change that. So coming up as a network engineer and a system engineer, I was like, okay, when I get my chance to go into management, I'm going to still be proficient in my craft so I can talk. I want to have to talk with my engineers. I want to be able to have the communication skills to relay this to our operations or our senior department. Like, hey, this is what I need. This is what we need to go this way, versus not just, I think it gets broken because we speak a different language in tech and we're trying to get people to understand our ones and zeros, and they're just like, you know what I mean? So you're like, all right, Carlos, get to the point. What do you need exactly? And you're trying to like, oh, well, yeah, I got to cut over this MLS, and I got to do, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, wait, what's the issue? All the autonomous ID is set. You try to, it didn't work. So I was bringing data to a knife fight. And I was just like, yeah, okay, so I really, really got to hone in and get people to like just have that trust in me. Yep. Like, okay, hey, listen, I perform. This is what I need. Give them the little small details and be like, hey, this is going to save us. This is how it's going to affect operations. Because when it comes down to it, they all want to just get the system back up. It's all about stand green and stand checks, no systems down. So that's what they wanted. So once I got into management, that was one of the things that I always wanted to hit on and be like, all right, hey, I'm going to give them their bread and butter, what they need to survive, and then I'm going to make it happen, and everyone's going to be happy. And I tell them like, hey, well, we need to cut over. We have to do the server upgrade for this, X, Y, Z reason. They're not questioning like, okay, Carlos, we trust what you need, and like go forward and move. Like that was beneficial to me versus someone coming in on the outside and telling me what to do with my equipment, my network, when I'm the one who's been working on this, building this up, and you just get an outside opinion like, hey, just go this route. I'm like, yeah, no, we do not need to do this. So like I said, it really, really like set in that the people who were in these leadership positions, not all, but some, didn't have that background of understanding fully how the network worked. So once I grew, I was like, oh, okay, well, and these are the people, like I said, they're in charge. Like you said, they get paid the big bucks. Exactly. Like I'm like, yeah, you're getting 180 a year, base, and you can't tell me what DHCP means.
Right. Well, you know what I find interesting about this whole thing, Carlos, and as I continue to ascend within my career, when you get into these circles and you start to see and you start to make very similar money as these individuals, but even before you're making the money as these individuals, I and this is something that I want you guys to, think about, right? When you're growing up in your career and you're continuing to strive, I think a lot of the times we don't have the confidence ourselves to, know that our decision, although we think a certain way, we know it is the right decision, because we're thinking that the people who are in these higher positions are smarter and they know more, and at the end of the day, it's not the case, guys. It's not the case at all. So you feel like you should listen. Okay, well, if he said that, then this is the way I should do it. Or if he said this is the way I should do it. No, half of the times he's saying something or they're saying something, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Maybe they're going based on the information that they have, and typically it's not a lot of information. It's just them having that voice to speak up and ultimately to get things done because they're in a position of power. But you realize very quick, it's like, he said this. Man, the hell, he don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna get the results that I want to get, and ultimately, I'm gonna probably get that position one day as well too.
That position. Exactly, and it took a. Well, I guess it didn't take me a while, but like once I learned that, I realized like, yeah, okay, you can be in these roles, Carlos. You have the you meet the criteria. You know the system. You're developing the soft skills. That's when it's like, yeah, why am I just sitting there? Like I'm more than capable. And I actually just had a meeting last week with one of my old mentors from out there at the Federal Aviation Administration, and he's a chief. And I was talking about it. He was like, yeah, Carlos, you got more management skills than half everybody out there. And I'm just like, yeah. but it was a sense of us just like I said, not feeling like we belong there, thinking that it was like this like greater golden ticket place we had to get to. Yeah, no, it's not. It's a lot of times in tech, like I say, if you know the system and you can develop soft skills, you can lead people. If you have a genuine care like for people and empathy, you can lead people, you can grow them. So I think it's just getting out of those little shells that we are in, expanding our realm to take those chances. Like I say, take these opportunities to sit up front, take those opportunities to grab coaching. You know what I mean? Work on your skill set, and all encompassing. You'll find that a lot of times great followers turn into great leaders.
Yeah, I love
9
that.
times out of 10. So.
I love that, Carlos. So let's jump back into your story. Let's fast track your military career to the civilian world and talk about the plans that you have. So what I mean by fast tracking, hit it, as in, what you were able to accomplish, the reason why you decided to get out, and what that transition was like, and then to what you're doing today and what the future is going to look like as well too. Hit us with that.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I recently just got home from Qatar last May. Got home, we had a proposal, and I think I had like a midlife crisis, coming to light moment. I caught COVID extremely bad. Like I caught COVID, I had COVID pneumonia, and I was like, it was the worst feeling. I was running a fever, and the whole time I kept getting pinged, like, okay, when you coming back to work? Hey, when you gonna go do this trade? And I'm just like, yo, listen, I'm literally feel like I'm on my deathbed. Like I felt terrible. Um, and I just made up my mind at that point. I was like, when I sat there, the hospitals were different during that time, because they people would come check on you, but not as often because of how COVID was. You know what I mean? You'll get checked on like every 2 to 3 hours, but those hours felt like days, and I was running extreme fever. So while I was there, I kind of just realized when I was in those 4 walls, like, no matter about what you did, all your great accomplishments, your job's not going to be there. The people you love the most were there. You know what I mean? My mom is calling, like, oh no, how's he doing? Keep him there. My kids, my fiance, we're all there. Like, they won't leave. You know what I mean? I realized that if I'm gonna give my time away, I'm gonna get what I want to get out of it. I'm gonna be compensated for what I want to be compensated. Like I started really looking into my value. And I was out for like the whole month of July, and I come back in. I was just like, yeah, I came to just pick up my laptop. I was just like, yeah, I'm not. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I actually told the guys, and I was like, look, I'm not working weekends. I'm not spending my weekends, nights in the office anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I was like, I'm literally going to take as much as I give now. I'm literally like, I know my worth. I know my value. And I remember one of my close friend Brandon, he was like, "You serious too? You gonna do it?" I was just like, "Yeah, if you know me, you know I am." And so I did. I opened up my LinkedIn. I just worked on my resume, and I got contacted by Amazon, and it was. I got later that year. Sorry, later that year, I transitioned back to Gainesville. So then later that year, they started getting in contact with me, and I went through the whole interview process. It's a lot of interviews that the time is required for it. And I just made up that mind. I was just like, you know what? From now on, I'm not playing it safe per se. A lot of people thought that, oh, well, you're young. I had been with the federal government for so many years. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, you could just ride this wave out, and you'll be good. And I was just like, I'm not waiting on it. I don't want to wait around because I kind of feel like tomorrow just wasn't promised. So why put off today for tomorrow? If you can get it done today, just do it. Like it's no. I always tell my daughter, like, one of my words to her is procrastinate, and you know what I mean. Like I don't want to be preaching it and not, and you know what I mean, and not instill it myself. I want to be the example. So I just did the legwork. Like, let's just get it done today, and it worked out. I had put it out there. I got contacted for a different role. This is an IT project leader for the city, which was like a good start. I was like, you know what I mean. it was steps up because I was already doing good. I think I made I was making over 100K back in 2018, I think. But the world's constantly changing, the economy is constantly changing. I'm always more like to be proactive, like I said, and I foresaw that the cost of living was always growing. And, my dad was just like, what are you out there? And I'm just like, Dad, it's not the same when you was growing up. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just private schools, like housing, all these things add up quick. And I was like, I wanted to be able to give them every opportunity possible. So I just you know what, if that's the case in college, your worth and you can perform. Listen, you talk it, let's walk it, let's keep going, don't stop now. And I put it out there, and like I said, I was turning down positions. I was like, oh no, thank you for the opportunity. One thing I always tell people, not to get sidetracked, but when you go on, interviewing is a skill set by itself. Always try to be fluent in. The best time to interview for a job is when you have one. That way you're not desperate. And you can tell people what you want, and you have leverage. You know what I mean? Because like I say, especially in the position where you have families, if I shrug my shoulders, consider myself Atlas for my family. If I shrug my shoulders, the world shakes. Their world shakes. So I need to be sure about the decisions I make. I don't want to be in a point where it's either this or that. No matter what I'm going to do, what I have to do, but I rather be on my terms and be comfortable. So something like, oh well, I'm good, I don't really need this, I would just turn around like, hey, thank you for the opportunity. And just keeping those connections open, so you'll consider me in the back end, and say if something else comes up that'll be more attractive to me. So I kept going through those process. I opened up my LinkedIn to hire, and I got contacted. And at first I was blown away. I was like, what, just to be working for this major corporation, this global corporation like Amazon. I was just like, whoa, man, Carlos, you ready for this? And I was just like, well, yeah, you are. And I get in there. Once again, one of the youngest, if not the youngest. I think in my meeting, when the guy told me, he was like, I think you might be the youngest, maybe the youngest in our region, either North America. And I was just like, oh, wow. It doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it. I'm used to it. Being in federal government, there's always people who riding those positions out. So it's like, okay, don't stop me. I'm still going to perform. And I came there with the same mindset. And as soon as I got in there, my regional, he was just like, he's like, man, XYZ. He was just like, you trying to change Amazon now, Carlos? And I was just like, I'm still here to compete. I'm not complacent yet. I was like, I still want more. And he was like, well, what are you after? And I was like, I think the end goal, I want to be in a director or a C-suite positions. And he was just like, okay. He's like, you a lot of admiration. I was like, yeah, and I'm taking the tools to do so, like executive training. A lot of colleges offer these programs that they're good for your CV just to have on there. You know what I mean? And these cohorts give you a lot of experience. To interact with people who are running organizations and agencies at a high level. Like those conversations are things you need to sit on and hear, because I think when you get to a certain point, it becomes different from work. It becomes a lifestyle. Like we're talking about the people who work 6 or 7 days a week. You know what I mean? They're working 14, 16 hours a day. That phone never turns off. You know what I mean? Like you have to think about 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plans and things of that nature, and getting that kind of exposure before you get inside the arena. Like I say, we practice like we practice like we play. So that's one of the things that I'm working on now. And then I started getting into, still branching myself out to forward-facing positions like the core DEI team for North America. Working on this band affiliate chapter for the region, mentoring. Things of that nature, like something like I want to get my hands into. What I've always been doing, but I keep doing it just because I know that all these tools and all these skill sets play a part into someone running an organization. When you have 500 people, when they're all, you know what I mean. Even though the pyramid goes up, you're sitting at the top of it. It still flips up. It's inverted. That's what I believe. I believe I sit at the bottom of the pyramid as a leader, and I project out. I believe in servant leadership. So I sit at the bottom and then project out, realistically, it's top of it. Like I say, just inverted. So those are the skills necessary to get people to want to accomplish the goals, want to accomplish the missions. So I think that being involved in things like DEI, being involved into mentoring programs, being involved in things that get down to the people that actually perform the work, how it affects them, their livelihoods, having that forward-facing relationship with them will get them to trust you and want to perform at a high level. And you get to grow and develop them. Like I say, a genuine empathy. And I think it's beneficial because I can literally call on my team like, hey, I need this. They're like, oh, just tell me what you need, Carlos, because they know that I want to grow them. They know I care about their livelihoods. So that in turn, I think is just going to make me overall the great leader and the man I inspire to be. And it's going to transfer over because I implement it here at my house. I implement it with my community. I just I want people to grow and trust into me, like when your life is in my hands. So those are the next steps of my life, which I will be executing here very, very shortly. Just keeping my tool bag ready, sharpening it up, and going forward with there.
I love it. I love it, Carlos, man. I absolutely love